Good afternoon, my grim ghouls. Welcome back to another video. Today, this is a game called Forgot Your Chains. Now, just reading the description off of the page, Forgot Your Chains is a visual psychological horror novel about the horrors of forgetting antipsychotics. Now, I won't go into too much detail and blah blah blah, all that stuff. Content warning, there's gonna be a lot of flashing imagery, some content that may be disturbing to sensitive viewers, topics such as suicide, self-harm, and distressing stuff all around. So you have your warning. Now, how that translates to a game, I have no idea, but I think it looks cool, so let's get it started. Alright. Wading through the depths of your subconscious, you wake to your dark bedroom, stagnant and chilly as it always is. It's a cozy room to an outsider or a guest. You hear a slight hum coming from the old metal vent on the ceiling. The vent, covered in black mold splotches, has slight silver accents between the growth. You peer over to your old ceiling fan. You try to avoid turning it on. It seems like it will fall off and break when it's in motion. It's delicate, yet unstable, like most things in your little bedroom. The floral sheets you're laying beneath are slightly scratchy but warm. Holes are scattered along the white sheets, unraveling threads. I don't think that's how you spell unraveling, but whatever. Your house is infested with bugs from the rotten food and trash you leave around. Time is an unfamiliar concept and things decay to those not accustomed to the world moving. Moths probably cause this. I can sew it. You recall the night where everything was disturbingly quiet. You heard voices coaxing you into sticking sewing needles into your arms, but you can't recall their reasoning. You push the thought away. You look over to your windows to try and gain a sense of time. It's pitch black. Your neighbor's house blocks the moon, so you're unable to tell if it's early morning or late night. The paint is peeling off, some bits chipped and scratched. You remember hearing an animal trapped in the wall screaming for help. You tried to scratch it open until your nail beds bled. The dead animal hates you. It's dead, rotting meat if your walls. You'll rot for not saving them. Your walls are scratched up. An ugly beige wallpaper covers your walls. There's torn sections with holes in the drywall. Sometimes you see little eyes staring at you through the holes. You covered them with plush throw blankets, but they always fall. You mull over your dreams, barely detached from them. You still see and experience them vaguely as they fade away. Your teeth were falling out again. You could feel piles of enamel shards fill your mouth. You pulled out endless clumps of shards of teeth with no success in your dream. It wasn't a nightmare. You regularly dream of this, pondering the meanings. It's hard to differentiate when you're awake or asleep. You've only noticed subtle differences within the feeling of muscles livening compared to the lead sensation of paralysis. Your brain has mustered a mimicry of the rest of your waking life, from injections to breathing. You felt ill for days, physically exhausted. Life has dealt you an uncomfortable deck of cards, unrelenting. It's hard to go on most days, fighting for your life, feeling terrible, ominous glimpses of memory at the brink of conscious thought. It may not be real. You must carry the burden of your flawed brain chemistry and keep moving. A life of persistent terror, inconsistencies in reality. You feel the disconnect between your thoughts and coherency, a lack of control. You are terribly confused. You register the dimly lit bedroom, hesitant to look anywhere as to not see distressing presences. You've tried your hardest to assign a sense of comfort to this room. Everything can become ominous in the wakes of paranoia. Even the soft floral sheets invoke a childlike type of fear. You look over at your desk. It's painted white to try to create a fresh, natural tone to the room. White always sticks out when it's dark, though. Your office chair had a flowery fabric sewn on. The cushioning is not very comfortable. Your black computer monitor seems to stare back at you. You cover it with a blanket most days, afraid of the contents within. You have a phobia of most everything, but the social paranoia eats at you at most. The walls are blank, except for the wallpaper you've learned to loathe. It almost looks like clusters of holes peering into you when it's dark. There's creatures in the holes. Wasps are coming out of the hive. You haven't bothered with pictures or posters. They all seem to stare at you, sometimes whispering. You don't feel like housing more people in your walls. You've knocked your plus friends off the bed again. They understand you're tossing and turning in the midst of unrest. They don't blame you. We don't. You have a plethora of plush animals and dolls you sleep with. They feel like protectors in the night, a place to hide. You have a wide variety of plush bears, soft, fuzzy friends that are strong in nature. Some of them have a strange odor. You don't wash things as much as you should. The strange odor, despite being unpleasant, gives you a sense of comfort. It reminds you of your home, your childhood even. Wash us, please. We're coated in filth. The light voice you heard is a whisper, undeterminable of identity or who it comes from. It sounds like it's simultaneously in and outside of your head. You feel like an observer. Your thoughts are disconnected from everything. Your mouth seems to vomit words on occasion, randomly generated. The confusion grows as you observe strings of thoughts, all disconnected streams of consciousness. Your lips are damaged and bloody. You peel off layers of skin as a nervous habit. As you peer over to your bedside table, your stomach churns. Perceiving anything seems like a threat. It's a small coffee table someone gifted you. It's all scratched up. Can't remember who gave it to you. The paint is smooth and intact. The table has traces of graphite scattered along the surface. The writing sometimes formed words in the darkness, mostly threats or conscious thoughts from the table. The table is usually displeased and anxious. I don't want to look at it. Observing the small wooden table dimly lit by a digital alarm clock, you spot your pill container. It's a little rainbow organizer as a consolation prize for the chronic sickness that infests your head. It's the little things. The table has no words for you today. It is painted white to match the rest of your room, highlighting itself with the dim lighting granted from your smooth black alarm clock. It's a digital alarm clock. You figured the clear numeric display would be easier to read. You look at your little clock. It display looking cryptic. It's undecipherable. You feel a sense of irony. Maybe this is the clock's way of taunting you. You taste the familiar metallic taste of blood in your mouth, unconsciously gnawing on the inside skin. You trace your fingers along your pill organizer. It's smooth and pleasant to touch. It's slightly chilled from the cold room you're in. You carefully observe the medication, meticulously popping open each segment to check if you missed something. You feel restless, hands unsteady. Your body goes cold and you feel your stomach twist. The past 3 days are still full. You vaguely remember running out of your antipsychotics 4 days ago. Your hands are trembling now. There's nothing you can do except wait. You might have emergency medication somewhere around here. You don't remember where you put it. It won't work fully for a few days, but it might help. I don't want this. You turn back to your room, trying to find something unthreatening. You stare at the flowers on your sheets, inspecting to see if they're moving when they shouldn't. You weigh your options. This room is starting to feel like a prison. Your heart feels still. Everything feels still. But as focus is lent, the room livens. You take note of your aching body. You've been in bed for days. The pillows are warm and flattened from the weight of your body. Your little throw pillows are scattered about from your restless nights. You're aching everywhere and can't find comfort except for a fetal position with your face hidden in the sheets. Whoa, that's trippy. Oh, is that? Oh my lord, that's oof. Your sheets smell faintly of laundry detergent, a fresh soapy smell. You inhale deeply. It contrasts against the taste of blood in your mouth. As you inhale, it tastes like a mixture of blood and soap. The taste of blood is sharp and metallic, contrasting against the refreshing scent of your sheets. They combine to create a disgusting flavor. Your senses heighten without visuals. Peering into the black abyss within your sheets shows faint shapes and illusions. The pictures and shapes mold in front of your eyes. This reminds me of when you shut your eyes really tight for too long, you start getting these weird static images and stuff. It's kind of funky. You got the heart and the little swirly and the star. Probably some I'm missing too. Yeah, I missed one. A disturbing skinned man fades in with the abstract shapes. He's grotesque, with an arrangement of drooling mouths filled with long teeth and black, glossy tongues. His eyes are darkened holes, yet they seem to stare right through you. This is disgusting. You decide you'd rather see your unknowingly ominous room than the horrific visuals brought from complete nothingness. He's scratching your eyes. Disgusting. You shake the image from your head as it fades. You feel like an animal caught in a trap. You also feel like behind your eyes you're observing that animal. You view your window, unthreatening in nature. You can't help but feel something will appear in the darkness. Your heart skips a beat, slightly panicked. You look away for your own sake. You ponder what you should do now. You have a gnawing feeling you should find your emergency medication. Staying here would be most safe, though. You need to check the room before you do anything, just in case. Oh boy, what do I get to do first? Any secret things? Nope. Let's see. We can check the windows to make sure no one's there. We can go to my mirror and cover it. That's a door. And we can go to the desk to cover the monitor. Let's cover the mirror? Yeah. What? You walk over to your mirror. You usually have it covered with a plush blanket. The room is so cold, though. It's so cold and dark that nearly outweighs the bad memories haunting the mirror. Your mirror is a large oval with a semi-glass off-white paint. This is your second mirror. The old one before treatment got destroyed in an incident. Your face had melted and deformed. You saw yourself talking. It knew how to torment you. It whispered vile sentiments. This went on for days. You couldn't sleep because it got louder and more cruel. You were exhausted, pushed to your limits. The wallpaper seemed to buzz with movement. Patterns tended to shift and melt. Things are so lively for being inanimate. You saw yourself, twisted and evil in the mirror. Your eyes were vacant holes, dripping with dark liquid, similar to a sobbing girl with mascara. You stared into the mirror, sleep-deprived and exhausted. As you got closer, your reflection went silent. In the small, still moment of false peace, it gripped its face and started ripping your face off. You didn't know if the harrowing screaming was yours or the reflection's. Your face started to sting as it was being clawed apart. You saw it dig its filthy nails into the side of its face, flesh collecting under its nails and streaks of blood flowing the claw marks. It started to peel away the flesh, strings of flesh being left behind with the blood dripping from the wounds you were deepening. Oh, wow, oof. Oh. It dug its fingers into the wounds, stuffing them in. It suddenly ripped its entire face off. Piles of flesh were in its palms. You could see the holes for the mouth and eyes. Blood splattered from the force of its tearing. Jeez, look at that visual, though. That is haunting. You stared endlessly into the mirror, a vile reflection taunting you with your demise reflected back. Your eyes watered, blurring it. It seemed to be twitching, along with the room and everything. Or is the room not Oh, yeah, it is. Thank God. For a second, I thought I was starting to hallucinate. Your stomach twisted. You felt vile. You had just seen your reflection tear off its own face. Glossy, dark blood was streaking down its arms. Beads of blood collected on your skinned face as a grotesque smile formed. You wanted to vomit. Oh, you hit the mirror, destroying it. It broke into reflective shards. Your knuckles were bleeding, your palms dripping from gripping the mirror shards. You were found with your face scratched and injured, screaming to yourself. You don't remember screaming or who found you. All you know is you ended up in another hospital. You don't know why or how you have another mirror. You can't tell which invokes more mistrust, the mirror or the dark window next to it. There are small creatures infesting the window. You've chosen to leave them alone. A brown spider has taken residence in a small crevice in your windowsill. You let it be. It eats the little ants that bother you, and you could use a roommate in this empty house. You dislike this corner. You feel like someone is standing there, lurking. Maybe some hostile entity is here with me. The window still needs to be cleaned. It's coated in grime. A thick layer of dust and fuzz covers it. Your mirror is coated in dust as well. There is no point in cleaning it, nor do you want to look at it. You need to cover it while you're in this state. You don't want to see things that shouldn't be there when you inevitably become entranced with a mirror. You look around for a blanket with no success as your floor is pitch black. Oof, why is my floor pitch black? You start feeling around for a blanket. You hear the crinkle of an old, grimy plastic wrappers from those disgusting protein bars you consume to survive. More food for the spiders and ants. You find one of your protein bars on the floor. It's chocolate mint flavor. It's somewhat crushed. You decided to grab it. You feel around some more on your somewhat soft carpet, feeling crumbs and shed hair. Carpet was an awful choice for such a filthy living area. You haven't washed it in ages. You pat around blindly and feel a soft pile of fabric. It feels like your plush throw blankets. Oh, someone grabbed me. As you grabbed your soft blanket, you feel a cold, slimy hand grab you back. Your heart jolts. You see a silhouette of a large, dismembered black hand. The hand's desperate fingers dig into your wrist. Maybe this is the blanket. You're very inconsiderate of its needs. You have several foil blankets on your bed. You can bear to lose one. Leave his blanket alone. He's cold too. You choose to leave the blanket on the floor. It's chilly and dry in this room. The chilly black silhouette of a hand may just be trying to warm up. His skin feels dry and scaly. He needs moisturizer. You take a note to leave some on the floor for him. You tried to steal his blanket. You should make it up to him. You take one of the plentiful throw blankets you have on your bed and cover the mirror. You wedge some of the cloth between the walls so it won't fall. The room feels slightly less sickening. You stare into the flowers, grateful to see nothing more. The reflections aren't always what they seem. You exhale deeply, unaware that you are holding your breath as you cover the mirror. You look around the dark room. You shiver from the house's consistently cold temperature. You feel like meat being preserved in a refrigerator, waiting to be sliced up and eaten, or suffocate in the darkness until you rot. You balance your options, figuring out where to go next. You feel lost in the sea of racing thoughts and confusion. You exhale deeply after shallow, panicked breaths, move back to your bed, assessing the room. You decide what to do next. What is this? I've already covered my mirror. Can I save? Can I recover my mirror? Or you walk over to the mirror. Oh, I saw the same thing. Okay, never mind. Had to check, sorry. Do we cover the monitor or check the window? I already know that window's gonna be terrifying. Let's do the monitor. You peer over at your desk, the paint scratched up. The desk is quite clean. You've abandoned your work. The laptop taunts you, a black shape in the darkness. You have a terrible phobia of it. What was that? Oh, there's a word. Oh, I'm being watched. The camera. You start to think of the terrible things you've seen in your laptop. Articles of cyber attacks, evils harbored in the crevices. You've seen warnings for cybersecurity sites. Every link is infected. Don't trust anyone. Everyone is out to get you. Your webcam is covered with a small piece of tape. Sometimes you opt for a sticker, whatever makes it stop watching you. You feel like you're being spied on. People are gathering your information. You're a pile of data. Your existence is collected in a myriad of folders. There are strange men in the internet prying through your computer, harvesting your information. Your microphone is disabled. You feel the people in your computer enabled it. They're watching you. They're waiting for you to do something. You used to browse websites casually, but would notice the text changing. You would see your name pop up, paired with a notification of people harassing you. Sometimes you would see endless masses of numbers and cryptic text. You would hear some breathing in your ear. Videos would start to talk to you directly. They were engineered to harm you. Why are you thinking this, Noni? What? Are you guilty? You must be guilty. We are the voices of the world. You cannot defy us. I'm not bad. You would not know these things unless you are bad. They wouldn't be out to get you unless you are bad. You made a terrible mistake, didn't you? You would believe us unless we hurt you for being evil. Evil, evil, evil. What did I do? Did I say something bad? You remain anonymous. It must be guilt. You're afraid of us exposing your evil. You sift through your memories, trying to find something you did. You have so much memory loss from your medicine, it's hard to find things. You feel a terrible guilt for being alive. You perceive everyone as a threat. Okay, that was scary. We know who you are, Kane. We will find you and hurt you. You are evil. We will find what you've done and show who you really are. I won't lie, that kind of freaked me out for just a sec. Because, like, that's my name. My actual name. But it took me a minute to realize, like, oh yeah, that's the name of my computer. So, you know, it's not that big a deal. It freaked me out for a second there. But yeah, we know who you are. We'll find you and hurt you. You are evil. We will find what you've done and show who you truly are. What? Is it watching me? Did I cover my webcam? We are live streaming your terror as evidence of your guilt. If you weren't guilty of something, you would not be scared. I don't feel well. My medicine. You are trying to manipulate us. You can't use your illness as a crutch for being a terrible person. We knew you were guilty. You were manipulative and evil. You stare away from the computer. It's still chattering about you. It only makes sense that it'll laugh at you while you're watching your distress. You grab a soft throw blanket from your bed. It's the closest thing, and you just want the stupid thing to shut up. You throw the closest blanket on top of it. It goes silent when it's covered. It seemed like it's waiting for you to uncover it. You can still feel it waiting. It wants to hurt you so badly for smothering it. You stare for a while, unaware of time passing. Its words continue to echo in your head. Am I bad? Do I manipulate people? You exhale deeply after shallow, panicked breaths. You move back to your bed, assessing the room. You decide what to do next. Let's see, done that one to that one. Oh boy, time for the mirror. Or the window. You slowly shift towards the window. It's chillier here. There must be a crack somewhere. You slowly inch closer to the window. You take shallow breaths. It's pitch black. The window still is coated in a thick layer of dust and carpet fuzz. There's dirt scattered from little succulents you used to grow. The wood is probably rotted. You see creatures coming through cracks you can't seem to find. The darkness peers into you. You feel panic. I know someone is out there. Something. Someone. It's out there. You feel a sudden pang of terror. You know you shouldn't be out there. You feel deeply that something is. You enter a trance, trying to catch whatever is out there watching you. You know something is there. Your gut wrenches. Nothing seems to stir back. I'm probably making it up. You feel a slight wind current from an unsealed part of the window. A cold front came through. You're slightly comforted that you're wearing socks. You haven't changed them in a while. They've collected grime and hair. They have a strange scent. At least part of you is warm. You peer closer into the dirty glass pane. You stare, unblinking into the darkness. You know something has to be there. Your nose is cold from the chilly air seeping through the crack in the window. You stare. It has to be out there. Your eyes water. You're so entranced you don't blink. You feel your heart skip beats every time you think of something being out there. Your breathing is shallow and quiet, like you're trying to remain hidden despite staring wide-eyed at the window. You feel stuck there. You cannot resist the urge to look out of pure fear. Oh, wow. That's weird. It's in color. Let me in. I will help you. No. Also, that's something else I've noticed. It's like when Noni, the character I'm playing as, actually goes to speak, she's mentioned as a detached mouth, not as Noni. Like when something happens, it references certain parts of me. It's not like me, it's my conscious. It's not me talking, it's a detached mouth. I'm no semblance of a person. It's like I'm barely there. Anyways, just a random thought I had. No. Don't be that way. Let me in. You stare intrigued at this figure. It appears to be some kind of hollow no mask. It isn't floating. It's attached to something dark, as if its entire body was completely black, considering its mask is illuminated. It eagerly awaits your response. Come on, Noni, let me in. You need a guest. Your home is completely empty. You can't tolerate being alone, so let me in. You bite the inside of your mouth, wondering what's in it for this creature. You have a terrible gut feeling about it. It feels like a threat. You didn't want to see it, but your staring somehow summoned it. You were looking for me. Let me in. Its voice seems to be getting more frantic, yet its face remains solemnly and unchanging. It looks content. It stares deeply into you. Let us in. Bro. That is trippy. Like, it's describing all this stuff, like, it stares deeply and contently, and it's like, if you actually stare at that face, they nailed that feeling. Like, oh Lord, like they nailed it. Let us in. Us? See, conscious thought. Detached mouth. No. It goes silent. You stare at it on edge. Oh, spiders. Noni, please, my babies are so hungry. Noni, why are you looking at us like that? Don't you like spiders? You say nothing. You just stare. It'll go away. Noni, we're so hungry. You slowly register the woman made of spiders. You wonder if that's the source of the spider that lives in your window. Eat ants. You didn't really know what to say them, the spiders. You recalled the spiders living in your window still eating the little trail of ants. There are not enough ants for all of us. We are hungry, Noni. Help us. You think about it. Wait. Stand down, tell her to leave. Bribe her? With what? Do I dare bribe her, or do I stand down? I'm saving. I would like to tell her to leave. She's gone. Oh, okay. It was that simple? Make your decision. Stay, it's safe here, you've checked everything. Leave, maybe you can find some emergency medication. Oh, gosh, what do I do? Well, first off, I want to see what happens if I try to bribe her. Bribe her. I will cut you a deal. The woman comprised of hungry spiders seems intrigued. She's desperate. She listens to your proposal. I will leave some snacks at the window. Your thoughts are everywhere. It's extremely difficult to find your words. You could eat them, or you could use them to lure lots of ants. The woman ponders this. What is in it for you, Noni? You can't eat me. You will have to leave. She falls silent, weighing her options. The deal is beneficial to her. If we fall into starvation, can we come and ask for more? We're so hungry, Noni. You ponder this. You wouldn't mind forfeiting some groceries if it ensured your safety. Spiders tend to stay true to their word, you think. You haven't really heard any stories about trader spiders. Okay. You cautiously place the crumbled chocolate mint protein bar near the crack in the window. Here, it's good. The woman of spiders seems pleased. She crawls off. You hear thousands of little spider legs scurrying away. You assume she will return for the food. She knows where it is. You hope she collects it promptly before it attracts ants after. You hope she collects it promptly before it attracts the ants infesting your windowsill. She's gone. Okay, well, we can now make this decision. We can stay here, or we can leave. I think we need the emergency, but we don't know where it's at. But what are we waiting for? Morning? I don't know. I don't think it's gonna get better. I think we need it. You slowly open your door. It creaks silently. You make your way into the hallway. You hate this hallway. It's an off-white hall. The walls are textured. There are no pictures or decorations. It's empty. The darkness induces a paranoia within you. You can't shake the feeling of being watched. It's a strange, bumpy texture. You trace your fingers along it. The floor is chilly, patterned tile. There's nothing at the end of the hallway, just an abyss of black. To your right, there's a dark doorway that leads to the living room. It's extremely quiet. It feels still. Your heart is racing and your hands are shaking. You can't seem to take your eyes off the darkness. Your vision is blurred from staring. You have a deep feeling that if you stop watching, whatever is lurking will stop hiding and kill you. This hallway invokes a sense of dread that is unshakable. You collect yourself and walk hastily to the living room. You exhale, relieved nothing was to hurt you in the hallway. You enter the dark living room, feeling slightly comforted by its spaciousness. It feels less like being trapped. It's a warm-toned area with a plethora of cozy brown shades. There's a brick fireplace to your right. It would be useful in providing warmth if you weren't prohibited from dangerous objects such as lighters. You indulge in the idea of a comforting glow and warmth. It's cold and eerie here, though. It feels so deeply empty. All you can hear is the faint hum of the air conditioning. You hear undecipherable whispers. They're faint. Maybe they're talking about you. They're talking about you. The voices used to be impossible to recognize as unreal, as they usually sounded like your family. You lived with them. It sounded like they were outside your doorway. They would say strange things. You assumed it was some type of teasing or joke, albeit cruel in nature. When you were medicated, it got quiet. Nobody hung out at your doorway like you assumed. You asked about comments that stood out as cruel or strange. They were never at your doorway. Now that you're alone, you know the voices belong to nobody. You decide to start searching the room. Oh, 3 more options. The couch. What is that? The loft? Oh, the music just reset. Is that? Oh no, that looked like a face. The window. Look left. You turn to the corner of the living room. Your favorite chair sits there. It's a large, old plush chair. It's scratched up and loved dearly. It has a soft, woolly fabric with intricate stitching. The dull brown is strangely comforting. It's too dark to see at the moment. There's a matching circular ottoman at the foot of your cozy chair. You feel a sense of safety wash over you. Often the chair is covered in your plush throw blankets. You feel safe when you hide in the corner. Things are much less threatening when you hold your knees to your head while sitting. You could only see through a small window between your legs. Nothing much can happen in such a small area. It's safer. People usually get scared at the sight of you with your head buried in your knees sitting on the floor. They just don't understand that it's safe. It's the only sense of control you can have. A small window of vision where not much can happen. It won't stop voices, but it's something. And something is better than nothing. Oh, that was nice. What about the couch? You move to sit on the couch. It's brown, plush sofa with intricately stitched patterns. A small brown coffee table is in front of you. Your gaze is caught by the TV. The pitch black screen draws you in. Something about such a lively object being seemingly dead and quiet is memorizing. You sink into the cushions. They comfort your aching body. The room seems uniquely hollow for a living room, as if you were a ghost living here. You're afraid of decorations. Choosing the wrong one that causes any sense of unease will permanently haunt you. Your legs itch as you notice the crumbs left off of the couch digging into your skin. You need to clean more. This becomes so difficult when the concept of time escapes from your head. Days pass. You can't remember much from them, but where you are in the living room becomes disgusting. You never know how it got this bad, how wrappers became scattered on where you decided it was safest to sleep, with crumbs and the cushions flattened. Time keeps moving while you're trapped in your head. It's impossible to understand when everything is already so scary and confusing. You've been seen to stare at walls for hours, unaware of the flow of time, enamored by something unseen to the sane eye. You feel a sense of shame. You know you look deeply strange and confusing to others who aren't capable of understanding. Jeez, the music reset again, and it's like, wow. It resets like right in its peak, too. You remember how they treat you when you're not in the right sense of mind. You remember being deeply afraid of a threat, a deeply embedded belief or terrifying visuals. However, due to your strangeness, they just laughed at you. Your fear is a spectacle. Your terror is invisible to everyone else. Gazing at the blank TV, you try to shove aside the thought of people watching you. Never happens when your delusions are mixed with truth. It gives the voice a sense of credibility. You remove yourself from the couch, swiping off the embedded crumbs making your legs sting. You shift and continue moving. You faintly remember the need to get your medicine. It's hard to keep your thoughts contained and straight. You get lost frequently. To the window to make sure no one's there. It feels wrong staring into the darkness encased in the cold window panes. You know it's wrong to stare. It brings misfortune. Your breathing is hesitant and shallow. Staring manifests things you don't want to see. You can't seem to help it. You see shapes melt and shift in the darkness. The darkness makes it easier for your flawed brain to misconstrue reality. You turn your gaze to the dark wooden cabinet. It contains a plethora of expired food and canned goods. It's dusty and cold to the touch, stagnant and still like the rest of the house. You wish for things to just be unbearably still, but everything is granted a unique type of lively nature even if it is absolutely still. Everything feels alive, like it's waiting for you. Inanimate objects whisper to you, encouraging you to pay mind. The window's out to get you. They're out there, waiting. Ha ha ha. Don't you believe us? You have to. You walk to the grimy marble countertop. Crumbs are scattered along the surface. It feels infected with bacteria. The air smells of mildew and something rotting. The air feels still and involves a sense of unease. The sink area is cleaned thoroughly. The counters where you prepare food are spotless. The dishes are loaded. You can't stand piles of dishes. It feels like the ghost of food previously in the sink contaminates any dishes despite being washed. They aren't safe if they're not in the dishwasher. Everything here is determined to make you sick. Every time you eat, you feel sick afterwards. You have a terrible phobia of most foods. Produce and meat scare you the most. Produce feels infected. It has all mold and E. coli. You can't cook meat. Once you see it uncooked, it invokes a terrible fear. It's infested with maggots or bacteria. It'll make you sick. You would see flashes of mold or movement in the food. You would see wriggling white specks in every instance of raw meat. Food always tasted strange, and you couldn't shake the feeling of being poisoned. I just wish I could trust the food I need to eat again. I feel so sick. You think to your medication. It became apparent that this was a delusion, but you felt nauseated and ill every time you took it. Was that poison? Were they poisoning me? Why do I feel so sick all the time? You stare with an empty gaze in the sink, unaware of the flow of time. You're entangled in a web of your own thoughts yet again. Your heart jolts as a stray thought passes through. You remember your medicine cabinet. It's in the bathroom. You're avoidant as it is ominous in the dark, but you need to check. You start to rush to the bathroom. You rush to the bathroom. This is your last resort. You might have something in the medicine cabinet. The sink smells faintly of lavender soap. The sink area is cold and damp. You shift across the cold patterned tiles to the mirror and pry your fingers within the chilly groove to open it. Your heart is pounding. It feels like living a waking nightmare. You open your little medicine cabinet. It's filled with all sorts of prescriptions for all types of ailments. You start shifting through the bottles, trying to find emergency medication. You need one for panic attacks and one to get the antipsychotics back into your system. You pause. You start to question what you're doing. Do you really want this? You struggle to take your medication, but you're chained to it. You recall a despair from terrible nausea and vomiting from your antipsychotic. When you took it, you would feel so violently ill, paired with an unfathomable drowsiness you couldn't fight. You couldn't stay awake, and you felt sick frequently. You would dread each night counting down and calculating when you had to take your medication. You just had to get used to it. The drowsiness caused a wave of anxiety and dread, tormenting you before you couldn't fight it any longer and passed out. Had to take it with a full meal or you would vomit. Your stomach hurt so bad. Every night you had to expect being in pain and mental anguish. Do you want it again? It stings being trapped in a cycle of suffering. Why were you born with this disease? You peer into the cabinet and find your emergency medicine. You hold the chilled bottles gently. Are you taking this to survive and keep suffering? Should you continue fighting? Or should you just give up? Make your decision. Well, obviously, you need to keep fighting. Everything gets better in time. You unscrew the lids to each medication with shaky hands. You know you'll be okay soon enough. You put the pills in your mouth and hold them in there, cupping water from the sink to swallow them with. You swallow the pills and sit on the cold bathroom tile. The medication for your panic starts to work. You feel less alarmed. Your racing thoughts start to fade. You feel slower. You feel your mind frame gently flip and melt into serenity. Things are starting to feel okay. You feel slower. You close your eyes and rest. Your breathing is steady and slow. You feel like you can finally breathe again. You survived. You made it back to your room safely. Comforting sunbeams cascade through your window pane, giving it a comforting aura. Your sheets feel cozy, partially warmed by the sun. You exhale deeply, glad the night is gone. The room is still calm. It invokes a gentle sense of comfort. It might be difficult to choose life over death with an unfortunate deck of cards you're dealt, but it's worth it. You had to learn what true reality is from the ground up once you were medicated, and it was worth it. Life isn't just suffering. It's not all pure and good either. But it doesn't have to be self-condemnation to be stuck within a personal hell. You don't regret seeking help. It's so worth fighting. There's so many beautiful and serene parts of life worth experiencing. Even if it's difficult, it's worth surviving and fighting. Keep fighting, Kane. It's worth it. Shit. Damn. Fuck. Dude, this was a fucking great game. Like, maybe for a future video sometime, I might go back and I'll get all the other endings. There's apparently 3 endings, 2 of which are true. I'm assuming that was one of the true endings, but wow, that was a great game. And I mean, damn, I almost started crying, I'm not gonna lie. And I mean, damn, I'm not gonna lie, that was probably the message that I needed to hear today. Like, today of all days is probably the one. Wow. Well, I can't recommend this game enough, guys. It's free, but of course, with a game this good, it's always worth tipping at least. I'll leave the link to it in the description. And yeah, guys, thank you for watching. If y'all want to see me get the other endings, or if I feel like it, I will. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe, and peace out.